Hello, everybody. Welcome to EduMatch. Thank you so much for joining us. So we are here today for a special episode. We have one of our EduMatch VIPs in the house. We have Brian Kulak, the author of Level Up Leadership, which is coming out tomorrow. Brian, congratulations and welcome to EduMatch.
Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. Excited to talk to you tonight. Please excuse the sniffles and the coughing. Of course, I get sick right before the launch, but nothing's going to keep me from tomorrow, man. I've been waiting for this for 42 years, so I'm ready to roll.
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm so excited as well. Like it's such a great book. So if y'all don't know Brian, let me tell you a little about him. He's entering his 20th year in education, and for the first 15 he taught English and journalism at his alma mater in New Jersey. Working almost exclusively with seniors, and Brian was committed to making connections with his students so they could make connections with their world. He also served as a new and novice teacher mentor, during which time he developed his passion for leadership. Most recently, he served as chief academic officer for 4 years before becoming a K-5 principal in 2018. His blog, leveluplead.com, combines shared educational experience with his unique style. Blending self-effacing humor, pop culture, and storytelling, Brian challenges readers to see themselves and their leadership differently. His work has been featured in Edutopia, in Educational Viewpoints, and in Stories in EDU. Brian has also presented on teaching, learning, and leadership at conferences such as NJAMLE and NCTE CEL. Now, in his personal life, Brian is a baseball fanatic, a Pearl Jam aficionado, and a devoted family man. So he lives in New Jersey with his wife and 2 children. So, Brian, I know this wasn't one of the questions that I sent to you, but what's your favorite Pearl Jam song?
Oh, so I have to say a song called Release, which is from their first album. And I got a blog post coming up about it. So I can talk about how sometimes we have to release our best teachers so they can become our next leaders. But that's a good question to start off with. A nice Pearl Jam softball question to start. I like it.
Yes, I had to go there. Yes, absolutely. I remember Jeremy, that video came out like when I was in middle school. So yeah.
It's a haunting video for sure. And it's all too real now, man. He was way ahead of the time with school shootings, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But so your first book, Level Up Leadership, Advance Your Edu Game, is coming out tomorrow. So tell us a little bit about what's your background and who or what inspired you to go into education.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited for tomorrow. It's been something I've been thinking about since I was a little boy. I was just talking to my staff the other day about it, and through meeting you and Mandy, it's just kind of changed my life. So really, no matter what happens from here, I'm just so happy to be part of the EduMatch family and seeing us grow. For me, the beginning, my story, my origin story is very simple, and I love telling it. I was 14, and I wrote a back then it was called HSPA or HSPT assessment. I was a freshman, an essay about who in the world I want to change places with and why. And back then I was obsessed with the NBA and the Detroit Pistons. So Isaiah Thomas was my favorite player. He wore number 11. I wore number 11. I just idolized him. And so I wrote the paper about that and thought nothing of it. And then a couple weeks later, the department chair came in, a department chair who would later become my department chair, the way my career worked out. And she read my essay to the class. I had no idea she was going to do it. And she gushed. She just talked about how it was one of the best papers she's read for somebody our age in her career. And she hoped that this person, who was me, would go on to be a writer and a teacher. And I walked out of that room. I'll never forget. And that was it. I was never going to leave education. So it's amazing how those small moments with people who say things and do things for you in education make you feel something about who you are and where you're going can change your life. So her name is Sue McKenna. And shortly thereafter, my story is very unique. So right out of undergrad, I was 22. I got a phone call that my favorite teacher, the guy who is my hero and who inspired me to become a teacher, whose name is John Scribonia, was being pressed into emergency action for the guidance department after an untimely death. So they called me and said, "Brian, can you do this?" I said, "Oh my gosh, you want me to come in and teach in the class that I learned from the guy that I want to be a teacher?" It was amazing, kismet kind of thing. So I jumped in there, and 15 years later, I was teaching pretty much all seniors and loving every minute of it. And then I jumped over into leadership 5 years ago in a different district. So that's where I am now. Yep, that's my origin story.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And just how that little moment, that one small moment just like shaped your life. That's so cool. So we never know like what kind of impact we're going to have. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're talking about 28 years ago. I was just a regular freshman writing a paper like we all did. And It was a life-changing thing. And I never pass up an opportunity to tell people in my life, professionally or personally, what they mean to me, how they've helped me. And, recently my staff is so talented and so amazing and supportive. And there are probably a lot of people who let those opportunities go by to tell them, but I just don't. I just say, I say a lot of kind things to a lot of people who need to hear them and who deserve to hear them. And hopefully I'll be the person that John and Sue were for me years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you on that. I hear you. So what can people expect from Level Up Leadership? Tell us a little bit about your book.
So Level Up Leadership is an extended analogy between the video game industry and educational leadership. And at first, it might seem like a disparate connection, but as you kind of go through the book, and I talk about things like the evolution of the controller, bosses, walkthroughs, saving your game, all the things that we remember growing up as sort of going through this metamorphosis over time, is the exact same thing that's going on in education. So just to give you an example, as I've been trying to do online all day to promote, if you think about the original Atari joystick, right? So it's just a really unilateral, very archaic box with a stick and a button, right? So you can move up, down, left, or right. You push the button, you can jump, or you can fire a pixelated square, and that's it. And I think that's where educational leadership was right around that time. You had a person, largely a man, who sat in an office and doled out mandates. There was no meaningful feedback. There was no talk of kindness and empathy. You did what you were supposed to do. He checked the boxes, and you kind of just meandered through your career. But as time went on, just like in gaming, the controllers changed from the Atari to the Nintendo, which featured 2 buttons, to the Xbox and PlayStation, which featured 6 or 8. And that's exactly how I see educational leadership changing over time. So again, if you see the cover and you see the old school video game that we all played in arcades and pizza shops when we were growing up, it'll remind you in a nostalgic sense what that was like and where we are now with gaming. And then each chapter kind of walks through that evolution side by side with educational leadership. I give reflections in each one. So there's anecdotal pieces, there's research, and then at the end of each chapter, there's 5 ready-to-use strategies for any leader. So pre-service, current, or veteran.
Yeah, I was digging it like from the very first chapter, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is speaking my language right now. So that's really, really cool. So so definitely love the format. So what was your motivation for writing this book?
Yeah, I mean, I think the motivation is as unique as everything I've talked about so far. And it's very personal. I was watching my 5-year-old son, Coleman, play Super Mario Brothers on his old school Nintendo Mini, the new one they came out with like 30 games built in. It kind of changed Generation X's lives for a short time because I played it all the time, and he kept just jumping through chasms and dying and giggling and jumping on Goombas and just getting lit up, and didn't really care that he wasn't doing really well. He loved it, and I started to think, do I want to jump in here as a dad? Like, dude, why don't you time your jumps better? Why don't you go get that fire plan, use fireballs? But I just let him play. And as he moved on and learned, the analogy kept getting stronger and stronger. I mean, I saw the things that Mario has to deal with to get to the princess as things that we need to do daily, monthly, annually, and then based on our careers and education and leadership. So the motivation was to really kind of help. I really feel passionate about helping young teachers and aspiring leaders. I have 2 in my building who are just amazing. I'm going to rue the day they leave, but I want them to move on and lead buildings. But this is something I really think that teachers and leaders can look at as, again, more of a fun way to look at their career. So we can talk about educational leadership from all kinds of perspectives and quadrants and all kinds of things that have been done. I really wanted to find a way to talk about it in a way that was nostalgic and anecdotal and spoke to a lot of people. So again, I have my 5-year-old son to thank for playing, and here we are. So he'll think this story is much cooler when he's 15. Right now, he doesn't really care.
That is too cool. Yeah, we can definitely draw inspiration from so many unlikely places. So that is dope. So
Yeah.
What impact are you hoping that that your book has on the reader?
Yeah, I love for a couple things. Number one, I love for people to start to analogize their own lives and their own educational careers. The blog that you mentioned, leveluplead.com, my writing is very analogous. I mean, very mundane things in life are analogized into education. So like the last one I wrote was about my wife refuses to throw away her unfinished cans of water or soda, and I always have to do it. And I'm like, hon, what, can you please do it? And she's like, I will do it. I'll do it when I'm ready. I just don't do it your way. So right then I'm like, oh, that's just like every educational leader who says, do this my way or beat it. And that's not the kind of leader I am. So my wife always teases me. She's like, your husband life and your leadership life are so much different, but I learned so much from one and the other. So I really want people to look at this as a way to start to provide their own reflection and anecdotes about their careers and chart their own path in an evolutionary way, the way I do with the book through gaming. So that's one. And I think another thing I really want pre-service leaders. You know, I know Sam in our house works with pre-service teachers, and her book's amazing. And I got it from one of my young teachers. So I'm looking at that from the leadership perspective. So we go through these grad school programs, Sarah, you know how this goes, right? And it's all theoretical, and we're reading all these books and all these heavy hitters whose names we know before we get into the program. We write our papers and then we wipe our hands of it, but that's not really what it is. I mean, that's great foundational work, but I really want pre-service leaders to look at this as a way to jump into leadership with way more in their toolbox than the theoretical, because I give a lot of practical things from my first 5 years in education. A lot of it is really first person through these sort of pullaways called Gamers Journal. So I tell a lot of stories through them, a lot about relationships and how I built my leadership platform, which again is young. I'm only 5 years in, and there's people who know a lot more than me, but I'm really proud of the way that that my staff has come together with the first year principal. And I think writing the book, so I started writing the book in January. I think I got it to you in August, so that was 2 months into my principalship. So writing the book alongside my career, taking this arc, has really been powerful, because I'm kind of living and practicing what I'm preaching in the book all along. So that's what I hope people are more prepared to become leaders as a result of reading the book.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I love the way that you have presented it. It's like really engaging and interesting to read. So
thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So tomorrow is a big launch day, or I should say it kicks off your launch. So tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the launch.
Yeah, so we're going to do a 3-day launch to kind of accommodate as many people as possible. Tomorrow is going to be the prize will be the first person to get 25 retweets with the cover and tagging me and using Level Up Lead Book as the hashtag. We'll get a free book, and the free book will be signed. And I'm going to personalize my signings. I've never done this before, so I don't know what people do. But just like when I gave feedback to my kids, or writing thank you notes to my staff, I don't really believe in the form letter. So that'll be part of what I do. I think that's really important for just who I am and for the people that are reading the book. And on Tuesday on Twitter, we'll be doing another one where I ask people to tag 5 edu leaders with a picture of the book. I think this is a great way for all of us to really build our leader cachet. So I can talk about, we can use each other to reach out to each other down the line. So I think that's a really fun way to engage with people. And that'll be for a free Kindle copy. That is at noon on Tuesday, then 9 p.m. This is all Eastern time because I'm in New Jersey. 9 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. I'll do a real quick one-time only chat for folks who are considering the book or who just saw the cover, which is amazing, and want to learn more about it or want to talk about gaming or leadership. And that'll be it's going to be a teacher swag bag. I'm going to put together kind of a personalized bag based on the winner and send it out to them and put some fun level up stuff in there. So I think that's going to be fun for that winner. And then still on Twitter on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, just tweeting a proof of purchase of the book with the hashtag and tagging me. We'll get you an EduMatch t-shirt. And then if you hop over to Facebook on Tuesday and Wednesday, Tuesday at noon Eastern time, we're going to ask you to share a favorite line or passage. You can do it book snap style like Tara Martin does, or you can just kind of put it as part of the Facebook message and a picture of the book, and you'll be entered for another free copy, paperback copy. And then Wednesday at 8 on Facebook, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the Gamers Journals, those insets I talked about, and share which one is your favorite. Maybe share your own anecdotal, experiential example of your leadership. And that person will win a free Kindle version. So all kinds of fun stuff for the next 3 days. I'll be glued to my laptop, looking forward to interacting with readers and seeing what kind of leaders are out there.
That is awesome. That sounds like so much fun. So I can't wait for all of that to go down.
Me
So
too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So definitely. So for other people who are out there, everybody has a story. So if someone feels compelled to tell their story, then what kind of tips or advice would you have for them?
Wow, that's a great question. So, um, I talk about this guy in my book a lot. His name's Dan Whalen. He does an annual challenge for himself, doesn't call it a resolution. And after being with him for 5 years, on the fourth year, I said, I got to join him. So last January 2nd, I started writing every day at 5 a.m. And the goal was to start a blog and write a book. And for anybody who's thinking about starting out there, I dilly-dallied and procrastinated and negative self-talked myself out of it for years. But let me tell you, once you get started and you get on a routine that you will not waver from, maybe save for sickness or something like that, you will write. So I think blogging is the most important way to start because it's deeply personal. In the beginning, you can sort of control who the readers are, and before it starts to kind of get out into the masses, and then you can set your own pace. So I like to get one out per week, and then sometimes two, because I also started a former student Friday. So because of my 15 years in the classroom and the relationships I built, on an occasional basis, I ask former students to write for the blog on Fridays, and it's been super successful just to hear. And it's not about being in my class. It's not about me at all. In fact, I don't want it to be. It's about their lives during high school, post high school, where they are now, advice they give to people. It's just been a really powerful series. I'm really proud of that. So use your human capital, the people in your life, to help you with it. And I know pushing publish, which I talk about in the book, is really frightening, but it's super empowering. I mean, it changed my life to change my routine, to wake up early and write before the day begins, because it keeps my family time intact after school, keeps my weekends intact because I play baseball on the weekends, and I have a promise to myself I won't break. So that's one. And the second thing is, as I said earlier, you got to consider the market. I mean, Sarah, you know how many books are out there now in the edu world, which is a blessing and a curse, right? So there's a lot of really good stuff, especially from our house, I would say. But there's a lot of really good people writing good books with different angles out there. But at some point, there might be some saturation. So if you're like me, you got to think to yourself, I have this story to tell. I have this experience in my back pocket, but I got to tell it in a different way. Now, I don't think you'll be sitting around watching Nintendo and think of your inspiration like I did, but something will click, something will happen. And you're going to have a book that is yours, that no one else has written, that Sarah will put out, and with her in your corner, only good things happen. I can tell you that from experience. Just changed my life. And I would also say try to hop on Twitter chats, even if you just lurk at first, or if you want to run some chats. There's all kinds of people who can help you. Rochelle Dean-Poth in our house will help you. She helped me to get some together, so that's helped me for marketing. But it also kind of just, I think, broadens your edu perspective to see what people are talking about around the world. And Twitter chats they're omnipresent. There's one happening every hour, on the hour, every day. So you got to roll up the sleeves and get to work. I think that's my best advice.
Oh, those are some great tips, and I got to thank you for the kind words. And I definitely have to echo that we have some amazing authors, in EduMatch. So yeah, so shout out to the whole family.
Yeah,
So,
yep.
yes, indeed. All right. So, what are some other things that we can expect to see from you in the future, Brian?
So I'm gonna, the blog, I'm real proud of. That's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So I'll still stick with the once a week pace plus the former student Friday. I'm going to add a colleague corner. I have a bunch of colleagues who I'm trying to get to write or who just need a venue. So I'll open up the blog to them as an occasional series as well. So looking forward to that. And I hope some former students are listening because they know this has been in the making for a long time. So I started an activity long time ago, about year 2000, called the Hot Seat. The Hot Seat, I won't say too much about it because it's basically the book, but it changed my career. I think it changed the lives of a lot of kids in my class. And so many you're talking thousands of kids who sat in the hot seat. So the next book is called The Hot Seat, and it's going to be sort of twofold. One, it's going to be about the activity itself and what kids said when they were in the hot seat. So it is a public speaking activity. And then two, sort of again, an anecdotal way that those conversations changed my life, my teaching, and then eventually my leadership. I I brought it to my elementary school, so now I have fifth graders sitting in the hot seat once in a while, and it's so amazing to listen to how honest they are with the questions. So for all the former students who are out there waiting to read the hot seat book since about 2005, when I think I started writing it, it'll be along the way pretty soon through EduMatch.
Cool. I am so here for that. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. So, Brian, tell us, how can people get in touch with you online?
Yeah, so at bkulak11, BKULAK11 is probably the best way through Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well as Brian Kulak, Brian_Kulak on Instagram. leveluplead@gmail.com is my email, and then of course the blog leveluplead.com, where you can leave comments and just kind of read to check out my style. So any of those, I tend to be a little bit OCD with the little red notifications on my phone, so I get back to people pretty quick. And I already have connected with some people around the country who are scooping up the book and I want to talk about it. So I'm super excited for what tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday bring. And again, I know I said it before, and I don't think it can be overstated. Sarah, you're such an amazing person. We all know it, and we're all indebted to you. And I'm going to hold you to that meetup somewhere in DC, because I need to give you a big hug.
Oh my gosh. Yes, so you are amazing. So it has truly been an honor to collaborate with you, and looking forward to more collaboration in the future. And I'm really looking forward to that meetup as well. So that's going to be awesome. So thank you so much for coming on, Brian. It was great to have you on here, and really excited about what tomorrow and the future will have to bring.
Me too. Thanks so much, Sarah. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to everybody who is watching or who will watch in the future on Facebook, or who will listen through our podcast or catch the replay on YouTube. So just to let y'all know, on Wednesday, 7:45 p.m., we're going to be talking with Dr. Sheldon Akins about equity. And it's going to be a great show. So, the Bat Channel podcast.edumatch.org/tweet talk. And next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be talking with Dr. Sam Fesich about EduMagic. So sign up for panel podcast.edumatch.org/sign up. So that is it for me. So hopefully everybody has a great week, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night. So everybody take it easy.